Welcome. Today is your third session in the Apprenticing Jesus small group study. I'm excited to be with you today because we've got a fantastic topic to dive into. Today we look at the chapter that you just read, which is chapter 2, which is the unhurried life, merging and emerging. There are very few things that I'm aware of in our culture that diminish the possibility of spiritual growth more than the busyness and distracted nature of the culture we live in. People tend to just live in perpetual overwhelm. So when you combine that dynamic with the pervasive sense of entitlement in our culture, there's a lot that gets in the way of really embracing what Jesus invites us into. And that sense of entitlement cuts across all cultural, ethnic, political, religious boundaries. I don't care who you are, you get influenced by entitlement. So when you combine that with just the constant distraction and busyness of life, there's a lot of challenges. And so when it comes to sailing our ship of apprenticing Jesus, we run into some stiff headwinds. I want you to listen to this verse, Matthew 11, 28 through 30 in the Message. This is Jesus talking. It says, "Are you tired, worn out, burnt out on religion? Come to me. Get away with me and you'll recover your life. I'll show you how to take a real rest. Walk with me and work with me. Watch how I do it. Learn the unforced rhythms of grace. I won't lay anything heavy or ill-fitting on you. Keep company with me, and you'll learn how to live freely and lightly." Isn't that beautiful? That's available to us today. That's his invitation to us today, ongoing. Now, there's some key elements that he gets into in that scripture. Number one, it says that Jesus is gentle. He's humble. Those characteristics are embedded in his heart, the essence of who he is. And that the burden of apprenticing him is easy. It's good to be done. And that his burden is easy to bear. Man, that's like a drink of cool water in the desert. And if we choose to take on this way of living, he says that we'll learn from him, the master of life, and that we'll find rest for our soul. That's the invitation of apprenticing Jesus. Now, what Jesus is talking about here is not just going to church on Sundays and professing to be a Christian and saying that you're a good person. We're talking about a rigorous lifestyle, owning your life, and consistently interrupting our human tendency to live in selfishness, scarcity, comparison, and being dominated by the need to achieve and perform. We're talking about a whole new ball game he's calling us into. But I want you to just consider it sure beats the alternative when you think about it. Because the alternative is the hurriedness and overwhelming exhaustion of life and the frustration of it. But being hurried is a choice, and it's a choice born in scarcity. It's a survival strategy. It's birthed out of a belief that you're not enough, or the situation's not enough, or life is not enough, or God's not enough. And the solution, because of this scarcity, life not being enough, is to run harder and pedal faster. Essentially, that mindset is us trying to be our own saviors, to get it all done by ourselves. And Jesus offers us an alternative solution, another option. That's taking our sphere of influence, the things we're responsible for, which you could call our kingdom, and merging it with his kingdom, having to come under his kingdom. And he came to explain to us how to immerse ourselves into his kingdom, which is the kingdom of heaven, right now. He said it was available now, and that we can join him in that life, in our current life, not wait till sometime in the future after we're dead. Yes, we will die at some point and move to what's next, but we already are a part of eternal living. We're a part of God's eternal plan for us right now. So it makes sense to start living like that, doesn't it? If that's what's available, why not dive in and go for it? This orientation leads you to emerge more fully into a full expression of the gift that God's made you to be for the world, so that you can live the reality of you being an essential part of his kingdom, a necessary part of the world that would be missed if you weren't here. Also in this week's chapter, I break down Psalm 46:10, which says, be still and know that I'm God. This is a huge foundational discipline for us as apprentices of Jesus. Think about it. Be still and know that I'm God. The prerequisite to knowing God is to be still. Jesus spent entire nights in stillness and prayer with God. He practiced this. And to be still literally simply means to cease efforts. Just stop all your efforts to try to make it work and be still. And the word in this verse in Psalms for know, when it says to know that I'm God, essentially means to know God, to know experientially, with Him being infused into every part of your being and involved with every part of your life. It includes mentally knowing, emotionally knowing, instinctually knowing, and kinesthetically knowing. It's a full embodied experience, not just a head trip. It's knowing God in every cell of your body. That's what He's inviting us to, and that stillness creates the opening for. This is how intimately and deeply we can know God. And He explains to us that stillness is a big part of the path to that depth of level of knowing. You can rest assured that we're going to be practicing this throughout this study. And those daily practices are a huge part of just practicing it. I believe it's a fundamental daily discipline to learn and practice for the rest of your life. Just try it out. Don't try to figure it out. We'll unpack a lot of detail about what it's about over the course of our time together. But the first step is to just do it. Don't worry about if you're not doing it well, just do it. And if you want to increase rest and peace in your life, if that's a goal, then start practicing this. Most people just never carve out any time for it. If it's tough for you to fit it in, then just start with 2 minutes of practicing stillness. 2 minutes. 2 minutes is a win. Then shoot for building it up to 12 minutes. 12 minutes is a home run. And then 20 minutes. But if it takes you several years to get to that point, don't worry about it. That's okay, because you're practicing it every day. You're ahead of the game each step of the way by simply committing to it and practicing it for however long you're able to practice it in that moment in time. There's a lot about this in this chapter, and we're going to continue to practice it in future weeks. So enjoy it. Have fun with it. This coming week, you're going to focus on chapter 3, which is titled Communing with God. And we're going to break down a unique take on God's orientation around prayer. And we're going to unpack the magnificent power and brilliance of what is commonly called the Lord's Prayer, but we're going to call it the Apprentice's Prayer. We're going to take a really close look at the structure of what that prayer invites us into. Your daily practices this week are going to focus on embracing the 6 elements of the Apprentice Prayer into your life in a contemplative prayer format. Each day, you're going to focus on one aspect of the Apprentice's Prayer in a contemplative way, prayer without words. And we could use it with words too, but in a quiet, silence, and solitude-based way. And this prayer, actually, the Lord's Prayer, what we're calling the Apprentice Prayer, has 3 declarations to God that are included and 3 requests. And that's it represents our entire mindset towards how we can engage and create deeper connection with Jesus and with God our Father. So make sure that you do the daily practices this week. They're a big part of the chapter. And I think you'll have fun with it. Enjoy it.